the company has vowed to fight all the way to the Canadian Supreme Court in order to ensure access to natural products like Empower Plus.
Do I have a critique to make of Health Canada? I do. I summarize this issue with a statement. An informed consumer is a far better judge of their health care needs than any Health Canada bureaucrat in Ottawa. If there is no problem with packaging, no problem with labeling, no problem with side effects, contamination, or harm, get out of our face is my message to the Health Canada bureaucrats.
We have government agencies that have no accountability. And if they can circumvent the laws of the land and our charter rights and still do it, and the government does nothing about it, the health minister does nothing about it, then every health store, every natural practitioner is at risk.
Health Canada raided the home of Dr. Eldon Dahl in 2009. This time, they came to seize vitamins like folic acid, an essential vitamin. As was the case with Nancy Killian and the employees at True Hope, the Dahl family was held captive at gunpoint.
Freeze! Hey, guys, it's only vitamins.
We have fear happening on both sides.
Vitamin C, like in oranges.
The consumers are afraid, and the doctors are afraid of Health Canada and losing their licenses. Now with this Bill C-6, they can do the seizures, they can put you in jail. That is all coming from Health Canada.
And it gets worse. Bills C-51, 52, and Bill C-6 clearly flaunt language in the legislation that make Canadians subject to the dictates of foreign authorities. All because the nation is a signatory on free trade deals like NAFTA. It's part of the constitutional nightmare citizens must face in this new century of Canadian politics.
The difficult part in playing in this global environment is that external forces are telling us what the rules will be. Now in Canada we have this Statutory Instruments Act for our protection. Simply that means that if the bureaucracy decides to write regulations and policies, Parliament can review those regulations, scrutinize them, and even revoke them. But this new Bill C-6 has got some very dangerous language in it. It's saying that any regulation, any order that comes out of the Act will not be a statutory instrument, which means that Parliament can't review it, can't revoke it, which gives them a pass to write the laws that affect Canadians' lives based upon foreign corporations or governments bypassing Parliament completely.
The bold mention of C-51, C-6, or whatever acronym the bill finally ends up with, circumventing public debate and surrendering sovereignty to an international body, should send shivers up the spines of Canadians. Groups like the World Trade Organization, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, and even the dreaded Codex Alimentarius, whose aim is to regulate and control food and medicine worldwide, could eviscerate the power of Parliament. It's the kind of fire sale on Canadian sovereignty John Turner warned of decades ago.
It's not a trade deal. It's the Sale of Canada Act. That's what the Mulroney-Reagan trade deal is.
Nearly a quarter century ago, John Turner told the nation that these entangling alliances in the name of trade would endanger his beloved Canada.
I happen to believe that you've sold us out. We built a country, east and west and north. We built it on an infrastructure that deliberately resisted the continental pressure of the United States. For 120 years we've done it, with one signature of a pen. You've reversed that.
Since we're talking about this free trade agreement, there's one line I'd like to change.
Which line is that?
Well, this one here. It's just getting in the way.
What we signed with the United States is not a free trade agreement. It doesn't include antitrust, it doesn't include countervail, it doesn't include subsidies, it doesn't include presidential discretion. The United States is entitled to change their law from time to time, and we're still bound by it. There's not a leading trade lawyer in Washington, when I'm down there, who doesn't agree that we got screwed.
It would seem that John Turner was right all along. After the loss of millions of jobs and the selling off of Canadian sovereignty, it is official.
On this question of sovereignty, very difficult for a large country to accept that somebody is going to come in, like the United States or like the Europeans, and is basically going to come in and say, you're not doing your regulation in a proper way. Who's going to deal with that? Unless we're prepared to understand that in fact we're all going to have to give up a little bit of our sovereignty in order to make the world work.
These men and thousands of others did not fight so lovingly for Canada to have this be the end result. It's a question of sovereignty. The true titans of Canadian politics knew this. One was a man of Parliament who pioneered a Bill of Rights for the protection of all citizens.
What would a Bill of Rights do for you? It will put an end to Canadians being pushed around under bureaucratic regulation.
One secured a Charter of Rights and Freedoms, despite living in a time of deep national trauma. One was a nationalist who resisted the powerful influence of Canada's neighbor to the south, and who implored the youth of the nation to believe in Canada.
We must never give up on this country. Never, 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 never.
It is time again to defend the nation and to shape its destiny for decades to come. It's a question of sovereignty.
Sa carrière dans ce monde